Hi, welcome to Happy to See Me, the podcast that puts the spotlight on the overlooked and underestimated. I am Erika, your host, and today we're switching up a little bit. It is Happy Hour. So Happy Hour is a new format I want to try where it's not going to be the same interviews with a guest. It's more of a casual conversation about something maybe a bit off topic. Normally, I want to do happy hour with somebody else where we can actually have a drink. I don't have a drink right now because I'm by myself and it's the middle of the afternoon. But I thought it would be fun to have a conversation that's just me and the listeners, aka my faves, where I talk about my time on the Traitors. I've had some requests to do an episode about my time on the Traitors. I've had people send in questions, so why not give it a whirl? So yeah, this episode's going to be a bit different. It's probably going to be a lot of me rambling, but let's get into it. So without further ado, the guest is me talking just to you about my time on the Traitors, thanks to your questions. Okay, question number 1. Why did you decide to go on the Traitors Canada? All right. I mean, people who have followed me have known that I have probably been apprehensive about doing reality TV again. It wasn't like I did Survivor and I was so traumatized and didn't want to do it again, even though Survivor had its ups and downs, as listeners of the podcast know. But how could I say this? I don't know. There was nothing that was really calling me back to reality TV for a long time. I had a dream since I was a kid that has been well documented that I always wanted to be on Survivor. I always wanted to win. I'm fortunate that I had the opportunity to make that dream come true. And then when it came to other reality shows, there's just nothing really calling me to them. And even to the Traitors, to be honest, I was apprehensive about doing the Traitors at first. So the real story of how I decided to do it was back in January of 2023, so when the US version of the Traitors premiered, my agent and I were catching up, and she loves reality TV. And she was saying to me, I know you don't want to do another reality show as a contestant. I know we've said no to reality shows in the past, but I've been watching the show, The Traitors, and I think if you ever get called for the show, you should think about it because I think it would be a good show for you. They make people look smart. You could wear all your outfits. I think it would be a game you'd be really good at. You should consider it. I'm like, okay, whatever. Because I had not watched The Traitors at that point. I just thought, I don't know. I had heard of the show. I know that a lot of people really liked it, but I don't know. I was just like, okay, cool. We'll see if that ever happens. Fast forward months later, I think I was just researching about, I don't know, just people I need to reach out to, doing some research about the industry, figuring out what I do next, which is something I do all of the time, always researching and reaching out to people. And then I saw the news online that it was announced there would be a French and an English version of The Traitors. And I don't know what it is. Sometimes, you know how you just get those gut feelings about things? I saw that and I was like, ugh, I'm going to end up on this show, aren't I? But then again, didn't really think about it, just kind of moved on. And then a month or two later, I was in the middle of moving. So as we all know, I've moved into a new place a few months ago. I was in the middle of moving, high stress time. And then my agent calls me and she says, so they're doing a Traitors Canada and they want you to be on the show. It'll film really soon. What do you think? I'm like, I don't know. I don't know if that's what I want to do right now. I haven't even watched the US version. And my agent was saying, like, I think you should watch the show. And she is really good about not pushing me to do things I don't want to do. But in this case, she's like, I think you just need to watch it and see. So I was visiting my parents. So we watched the first season and my parents loved it. They were sure that I could go on and win and be like Suri, but they were like, you will be so good at this. You have to do this. Also, I have a group of friends who play Mafia all of the time. So Mafia is basically the same as the Traitors. And I knew how to play the game. I knew how to play as a faithful or a civilian, as they say in Mafia. I knew how to play as a Mafia or as a traitor, as they say. And I knew how to win either way. We've played so many times, I know how to lose too. And we actually played so much that we had to stop because we were really good at figuring out when everyone else was lying because we played so much. But I was like, okay, this is a game I've played before. And then I was just thinking about, what does it say about me? Is it like, am I going backwards if I do another reality show? Is there the chance that there was like a fear for a small amount of time where I thought, oh, all of the people who had said all this stuff about how I didn't deserve to win Survivor, if I don't win the Traitors, is everybody justified in all of their criticism of me? And I was thinking, okay, is this going to help me move forward, or is this going to hold me back or make me stop? But then I ended up getting some good advice from people. And ultimately, what I wanted was just to have fun. Survivor was the most amazing experience. It had the highest highs and the lowest lows, and it was really long. I consider Survivor to have started for me back when I first heard back from casting in 2019. And I still think Survivor is a part of my life for sure, but it was years of something that was so intense and so high stakes. And I wanted to just show myself that I could do a TV show and simply and truly have fun. And plus, Traitors was going to film right away. It wasn't going to be like months of waiting like it was for Survivor. The shooting time for Traitors is really short. Little did I know I would shoot the minimum amount of episodes, but we'll get to that. And then the season would air really quickly too. So it wasn't like this long, drawn out wait. And plus, I knew how to play the game. And this time, it wasn't my childhood dream to win the show. Traitors didn't exist when I was a child. So I thought, okay, it's a game I know how to play. It's going to be quick. And I know that whether I win or lose, it doesn't change who I am. It doesn't change my self-worth. It doesn't really matter what people think about me. So I just want to go and I want to have fun. So I sat on that contract for a while. I think I signed the contract to film the show the week that I left to go film it. And I was like, I first and foremost want to have fun. And number two, I obviously want to win. I am not going to just show up to not try to win, especially because I know that I can win a game like this. But for me, I think that I got what I wanted and what I truly needed out of the experience. But that's how I ended up on the Traitors Canada. All right, next question. What were the biggest differences between filming the Traitors and filming Survivor? Okay, the obvious aside, where at least you're not starving, at least you are fed, you are living inside. So the survival stuff is gone when it comes to the Traitors. I can't talk a lot about the behind the scenes at this point, but what I will say is the Traitors for me felt so fun and so low stakes. I think for one, going into reality TV for the first time, it's a big shock to the system. You just don't really understand how it works. But then after having the experience of Survivor and understanding like, okay, this is the time when we film, when we're strategizing, this is the time when we do our confessionals, I think I had a better understanding of how all of that worked. So I think that I was just a lot happier and I was like a lot more comfortable. And also I had grown so much since the person I was when I first started to film Survivor. So I think overall I felt a lot happier and a lot more comfortable with myself. And then on top of that, I felt really comfortable in terms of the game. I had built a lot of tolerance for being in situations where you know that you can't trust everybody. You know that you need to talk about people and people are going to be talking about you. And it's okay. And it's just a game and it doesn't change, again, who I am and who I am to my family and friends and my self-worth. So I think I was able to just really like accept the experience and the quote unquote stress of the game for what it is. People asked me if I was stressed out going to bed that first night. And I was like, well, I knew I could get murdered, but there's nothing that I can do about it. I think that's the other thing that's so different because on Survivor, I think there's always the opportunity to try to save yourself. Whereas on the Traitors, if you get murdered literally night one, there's not much you can do. But yeah, I think I felt so much more at ease just knowing, yeah, it could be me, but I have to just not think about it. And I have to just think about my plan for tomorrow. Other ways that it was different than filming Survivor, it was really nice to be on a cast of all Canadians, can I say. I remember after I finished Survivor, I was talking to one of the psychologists, and I'm like, yeah, I felt a bit of like a culture shock being the only person living in Canada on a cast with a bunch of Americans. And the psychologist was surprised. She had no idea that I could feel that way, but newsflash for any Americans, Canada is not the same as America. But even thinking about the cast on the Traitors, I've already had so much more in common with everybody. Like I had met Kevin before, so he and I knew each other not really well, but we knew each other. Fierce and I had mutual friends in Toronto, and then way after we finished filming, we realized that we actually had met before. And then there were other people who I know that it's like a stereotype where it sounds like all Canadians know each other, but there were people who I realized, oh, we know this person in common, or we have this mutual connection because we used to live here. So I felt like I already had so much more built-in connection with everybody. And then it's nice that now there are people who live in the same area, and it's a lot easier to see everybody instead of being the one person living in a different country like I was when I was on Survivor. And also, the cast on the Traitors is great. I hope that everybody has been enjoying watching them. But it's really nice because, yes, we were on a show and there's backstabbing and people get murdered and banished. But I have felt like there's been a lot of support within the cast. And even when people's interviews come out, everyone's so excited to read them and tell them how good of a job they did. It sounds very Canadian, but it's really nice to be part of a group that has so much camaraderie like that. So I think that the cast really made the experience so much fun. And part of the reason I was disappointed when I was murdered so early is because I was having so much fun with everybody. And sometimes I have a bit of FOMO because I'm like, oh, I really liked this person, but I didn't have more time to build a relationship with them. And now they live on the other side of the country. So like, hopefully I can figure out how to see them again or be in touch with them or whatnot. Also, I had so much fun filming this show. There were so many moments where I was just like laughing and taking it seriously, but also just enjoying the moment. And it's so different than when you're starving and you're just like, ugh, I have to strategize, but I'm so starving. So yeah, there are just so many fun moments. Like at one point, I told Miss Fierce Delicious to take off her shoes so I could strut around the manor and act as if I came in 4th place on Canada's Drag Race season 3. And then we were trying to get Rick Campanelli to put on her shoes, and he was going to. He sat there and started untying his shoes, but then we had to go to the mission. So I'm sorry. We were trying to get you guys the good content. What else happened in my short time there? Yeah, there was like one point where we're in the cars driving to the mission, and I was like, guys, do you want to get screen time? We have to say the name of this car. So it was the Armada. I believe it was the Nissan. Hint, hint, Nissan. But yeah, I was like, okay, we have to try to say Armada in every sentence so we can get the screen time. So we were trying to talk about the day and strategize while also saying Armada. So I think that, yeah, just not having the pressure of this needing to be the be all and end all of my reality TV career and having more experience and feeling more comfortable in that space, and then being around a bunch of people who have also had that experience and also knowing that this is a game and we want to win and it's also fun. I had a blast filming that show. But yeah, awesome cast. I hope that you continue watching the show to check them out. But I think those are the major differences between Traitors and Survivor. Okay, next question. Do you think you would have been a good traitor? I think if I came in and I was not the winner of Survivor, I would have been an awesome traitor. I think that I would have been perfect. I would have been, listen, the Traitors is the perfect game for the lion dressed as the lamb. I think I would have killed it. Now, if I was the traitor as who I am right now, if I could come in and nobody knew my background, I think I would kill it as a traitor. But unfortunately, I think having that target as a winner on me would have made being a traitor really challenging. So Erika without the title, awesome traitor. I really think I could have won. Honestly, I think if I didn't have the Survivor title, I could have won as a faithful too. I don't know if that sounds delusional, but you have to believe in yourself in games like this, okay? And you have to know that it's not guaranteed. You just have to know that you are capable of winning. So I think I would have been capable of winning as a faithful or as a traitor, but yeah, the title just didn't help me out in this case, but that's okay. Got me on the show. Did you suspect any of the 3 traitors? I want to say yes, but I don't want to give myself too much credit because I was there for one day. So I remember going to my hotel room, pulling out my journal, writing notes about everybody, and I made a list. There's 2 columns. There were for sure faithfuls, and then there were could be traitors but need more information. So the traitors were on the column that said could be traitors but need more information, but I don't want to give myself so much credit to say, oh, I had the top 3 nailed down completely. Of course, Melissa B was somebody who everybody had their eyes on. We love Melissa B. Melissa B knows that she could have improved her acting skills. That could be a skill that she works on if she wants to do another reality show, but we love Melissa B. But it almost tripped me out how much overacting there was because I was thinking about things from an almost meta perspective where I thought, who would production choose to be traitors? And it was almost like I knew through meeting Melissa B, you could tell she had the eagerness to want to be a traitor. You could tell that she had the confidence in and the belief that she could be a traitor. But then when it came to the overacting, I was like, it almost tripped me out because I was like, is this really the production selection? Is this really who they chose? Like that got me into my head a bit where I'm like, I think it's her, but maybe it's just too much and it's not. So let's be real. I would have ended up like voting with the group to vote her out anyways. So she was one. I think that when it came to like Mike, it's like Mike was so good at being under the radar. So I remember thinking, I'm like, oh, I don't know much about him. I'm not getting a lot from him. So I think he could be one. But again, like, who knows? Maybe if I was there a bit longer, I could have been more confident in that assessment. And then when it came to Koozie, so you saw on the show that Koozie, Kevin, and I made an alliance because I was thinking this is good in every way because you have to play the game with other people. It's a different game, obviously, than a Survivor or Big Brother, where you have the alliances to make sure you don't get voted out, because it doesn't exactly work that way. But you have to have allies that you can work with in some way. And I thought working with the Big Brother people are great. One, we all have played games like this. And then 2, just based on thinking about who production would choose, I'm thinking, okay, one of the 3 of us has to be a traitor. It's not me. And I think that my potentially only play to stay is to make a traitor believe that I could protect them, and then the skill that I bring to the game could be used in their favor, and also play a bit of the lamb role. I know I couldn't like totally be a lamb because obviously I already won Survivor, but play a bit of a lamb role and make people believe that the wool is fully pulled over my eyes and that I do have full trust in one of these reality TV traitors. To be honest, at the beginning, I was quite sure that Kevin was faithful. And with that logic, I don't want to necessarily say, yes, I thought Koozie was a traitor, but I knew that it was a possibility. So I didn't know for sure she was a traitor, but I wasn't sure that she wasn't a traitor. And then I also truly, I have no issue with them taking me out. I wouldn't have taken me out if I was in their position, but I understand why it would make sense for someone to take the hit at me in the first episode. So I truly am not upset and I have no anger or anything towards any of these people at all. But yeah, the people who I knew for sure were faithfuls on the first day were like Kevin, Fierce, Melissa A, Dom, Rick, Donna. There's some people you just know that they're not lying, and that the way that they're acting is just so authentic and so true to their emotions and their true impulses that I was trying on the first day to identify who the faithfuls were and then try to build relationships with potential traitors. So yeah, I suspected them, but again, I don't want to give myself too much credit and be like, I knew them all because I just didn't have enough time. But I do think if I was there a bit longer, I think I could have got all of them figured out. But I wouldn't have eliminated them right away, because I always say, it didn't show up on the show, but I always say the game is not finding and banishing the traitors. The game is staying in the game long enough for your idea, or rather for you to figure out who the traitors are and for it to matter. Because if you are a traitor hunter and you get banished or murders, it doesn't matter how good you are at identifying the traitors. You just need to stay in the game. So the way that I was thinking about the game was, okay, get through the first night, even though I didn't. And I also said in so many confessionals that didn't make TV that if I just make it to day 2, I'm going to win. Obviously, I didn't make it to day 2 and I didn't win. But I was thinking, okay, get through the first night and then focus on identifying who the faithfuls are, identify who the traitors are, but don't necessarily go for them, and make the traitors believe that I trust them and I'm an asset to them and protect them. And then always watch the numbers and watch the number of guests who are left to determine the right timing to take out the traitors, to make sure that like I make it to the end. So always make sure that the numbers are balanced in the right way so that you do have the power and the influence to make some type of move at the end. It almost sounds similar to the way that I played Survivor, doesn't it? But yeah, who knows? Maybe if I get called for like an All-Stars Traitors, but I don't know if I get called because I was the first one murdered on the Canadian version. So we'll see. Next question. Did you expect to be an early victim of the traitors? I touched on this a bit. I thought it could happen because of the profile I had. I was thinking, so this is the thing. Before I went in to film the show, I was thinking, I don't know if it would make sense for me to be the first victim, because again, my logic was always, I always have shield potential. I will always be somebody who is so easy to cast suspicion on. I'll always be somebody that people will think, oh, she was on Survivor. Suri was on Survivor. She was a traitor. She was on Survivor. Maybe the producers would want her to be a traitor because she knows how to play the game. I always thought that there was the potential for me to be a distraction. So it would make sense, at least for the first vote or the first murder, for the traitors to keep me in. But then I think once I came in and I saw the cast, and again, I love the cast, but seeing that there were so few people who played reality strategy games, and then seeing that I was the person who won an American show that's really popular in Canada. So for those who don't know, Survivor is popular in the US, but proportionately, it's really popular in Canada. And there's also this weird complex in Canada where if you are Canadian and you have success in American entertainment in some way or form or whatever, people really regard you highly, let's say. So knowing that I had played a really popular social strategy game that was an American show, and I was the only one who had a profile quite like that. And of course, Kevin and Koozie, amazing Big Brother Canada players. It's just I had a slightly different profile. Knowing that, I was like, I could be in a bit of trouble here. So I tried my best to make the right alliances and make the right connections. And I was also building connections with some of the civilians too in the little time that I had. But I was doing my best to play that game. But yeah, unfortunately, the hand that got dealt to me was a hand that did not allow me to go further in the game. But c'est la vie. Next question. What did entering the game as a big dog threat, aka already being seen as a lion, do to you? And did you learn anything? Ooh, it was really, I want to think about this, because this is actually a question that is ripe for a lot of reflection. It really was so different to me to walk in and be the big dog, because I've always been underestimated. I've always been seen as the lamb. And truthfully, even after having won Survivor, even just in life, I feel like I am still an underdog in many ways, which I know sounds crazy because people are like, you've been on TV, you won this money, but there are still people who want to underestimate certain people. But then to walk into this situation, I was like, wow, I've never experienced this before. And even though I think I would try my best to be humble when talking about the experience and try to just connect with people on a personal level and not make me being on Survivor a big deal, it was just such a different experience. What did it do to me? I feel like I still need to reflect on that one. This is truly a question that is ripe for reflection. You know what? In some ways, it was confidence building. Obviously, having a profile like that, it didn't work out for this particular game. But I did have one of the cast members talk to me after the game was all said and done. And she was like, when you came in, it was just like you were a queen. And I don't know, I thought that was so sweet, where she said, you were a queen. I don't think I necessarily was acting like I was pompous or an asshole or anything, but I just had something about me that was like queen energy, and everybody knew it. And it's I don't know, it was really nice to be perceived that way, because I'm used to people thinking that I don't know, they just put me into a box and think that I'm just like, some little passive Asian girl or something. I don't know. But yeah, it was really as I think about it, it is confidence building, because it's like the work that I've done is paying off. And not just, the work of winning a reality show, but I mean the work of being kinder to myself and more compassionate to myself and believing in myself, and the work of trying to connect with people and be respectful and accept and celebrate everybody's different life experiences, and the work of taking risks and putting yourself out there even if you're on the fence about filming that other show, and the work of accepting and celebrating all of the changes in life that come from winning a reality show. It feels like all of the work paid off in some way. And I think to be able to walk into a room where everybody thinks, oh, I had queen energy, I don't know, I think it's so cool. It's just the coolest pat on the back. I mean, if I didn't have that, I could have been in a game to win up to $100,000 Canadian, but it's fine. It's fine. There's always ways to make money. But yeah, I think that it is kind of fun to come in as the big dog. Of course, it is a bit of a mind F, because I don't know, it's almost like a mindset shift now. So much of my life was me being the underdog. And it's like, yeah, I get to try on oh my God, I get to take the lamb costume off. Wow, I never thought I was going to reference that metaphor so much in this episode. But yeah, being able to like try on a new outfit and have like a bit of a mindset shift and see, okay, what is Erika, the sometimes big dog, like, and how is she going to move through the world? Yeah, this was a good question. I need to continue unpacking this, but thank you for this one. So thank you. I enjoyed that question. Okay, next question. This is a very, very serious question. Do you think the traitors killed you because they were jealous of your bob? 100%. I mean, look at this. It's funny because I didn't even have a bob on Survivor. I had my grown out pandemic hair, and now I love that people know I am a bob queen. So I think that, yes, they were jealous of my bob, especially Mike. We know that Mike has a bob of his own, and I think he's trying to get to fuck ass bob territory. Just kidding. We love you, Mike. But yeah, I think forget everything I said about being a threat, having been a Survivor winner. It's truly just the bob that got me murdered. And then, okay, one more question. This is the question that I get asked pretty frequently, which is, would you do another reality show? It's funny because I got asked this question back during the birthday episode of my podcast, and I was like, I don't know, maybe if it was something so different from Survivor. Little did we know I was about to go and film the Traitors. So would I do another reality show? I think that in the past, I was so sure it was a no. But then after having filmed The Traitors and honestly having so much fun and having met awesome people, my answer is maybe, depending on the show. I know I'm not filming Big Brother Canada. I am not interested in the challenge, and everyone asks me about the challenge. I get asked about random game shows sometimes, but I've turned some of those down. So I would say it depends on the show, but yeah, we would see what it would be. Hey, when I came off as Survivor and I was so sure I wasn't going to do a reality show again, the Traitors didn't exist. So I don't want to say never, because you never know what new format is going to show up. And I've been asked would I do a Traitors All Stars. I was like, maybe, depending on one, if they'd even care about the person who got murdered on day one of the Traitors Canada season 1. And 2, who knows? Who knows what the offer is? Who knows where I'm at in life? But maybe I would. Am I in a rush to do another reality show? No. I am honestly taking a bit of a breather. I think that this year has been a lot for me. Maybe I'll do a happy hour episode again at the end of the year and we can talk about how life has changed in 2023. Let me know if you'd be interested in hearing that episode. But yeah, the answer, would I do another reality show? Maybe. It depends on what it is and what they're offering me. So those are the questions that people have asked me about the Traitors. And I do want to say thank you to everybody who has listened. Thank you to everybody who tuned in to watch the Traitors. I hope you will continue watching the Traitors Canada, even though I know that so many people said they'd boycott it now that I'm gone. You should keep watching because I've heard what happens and it's going to be really good. And it was just so fun to be back on TV again. I think I was so nervous because it was so overwhelming, and I'm still processing how overwhelming it was when Survivor was airing and how that just turns your life upside down. But going back on Twitter and making fun of myself and talking to, yeah, like interacting with all of the old Twitter stands, the dormant Erika truthers, if you will, was so much fun. And just seeing the way that people reacted when I was announced to be on the show, seeing the way that people reacted to me being on the show and me getting murdered, I felt the love. I want to tell you from the bottom of my heart, I felt the love and I felt the support. So I want to say thank you to everybody who came out and watched the show or supported me in any way. I even remember the cast threw a watch party for the premiere this year. So I had so many friends come to the watch party. And for those who don't know, when I was on Survivor, I would have these watch parties for my family and friends every week. We couldn't invite the public, sorry, is my contract. But people would show up and the parties would get bigger and bigger and bigger every week. And then when it came to the Traitors and I said, okay, we're partying again, so many of my family and friends were so excited because they're like, okay, we're back. This is our weekly thing. We remember how fun this was. I had so many people just make time on the Monday night to show up. So thank you to everybody, everyone in my life who supported me and came out. And they were so excited. They were like, okay, I can't show up next week because it's Canadian Thanksgiving, but I'll be there the week after. And they were saying, I can't wait to do this every week. So I'm sorry if I let you down. You thought we'd have more parties, but let's be real. If they're my friends, they're not upset at me and whatever. But I just felt so much of the love from people I know and people I didn't know. So thank you so much for supporting me. And thank you for tuning into this happy hour episode. I want to try doing more of this where, yeah, I'd bring in different people. So it could be, who knows, maybe I invite my sister Crystal back to the show. Maybe I invite some friends. Maybe I invite some people who have been on the podcast before and we can have a more casual conversation. And maybe I actually have a drink. I'm sorry I didn't have a drink this time, but one, I'm still under my contract for the Traitors Canada, and it's also the middle of the day and I have things to do. So I feel like I can't get drunk during happy hour right now. But in a future episode, I'm going to put that option on the table. It could happen. So let me know what you'd like to hear me talk about in a potential future happy hour episode. Also, let me know if there are any guests that you want to see. As always, I want to thank you so much. If you haven't already, please subscribe, rate, and review the podcast wherever you get your podcasts. And if you haven't already, we're on YouTube. So if you're on YouTube, you're just seeing me today. And on Instagram, they're both at Happy to See Me Pod. Thank you so, so, so much for joining me for Happy Hour. And I will be happy to see you next Monday.